Welcome back, guys. Sticks and Stones Unfiltered. Today's guest, Kaelee Langley. 7.5 years in law enforcement, 4 years in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, 3 years in MMA, and she is currently the two-time champion for her weight class for the Smoke and Guns charity fights between firefighters and police officers. Looking forward to getting into it.
It's fun. Now we're back. Yeah, we're live.
We'll cover all. We started before I even thought about it, but anyway.
In the beginning,
we've already been talking for about 5 minutes, and I didn't push record. My bad, guys.
It wasn't that interesting, I guess.
Nah. So we'll just kind of recap what we had just been talking about. You came from a gym. And you guys fought in Smoking Guns, and three of you guys went 3 for 3.
Yeah, and our coach had posted that we're going to go 3 for 3 before we had even gone out there to fight, and I was like, oof, he got some confidence in us.
Okay, did your coach fight in the year previous?
Yes, so Dylan Dolezal, or as they say, Dolezal, when they announce him, so we all give him a hard time with it, but he fought the year before last, and then pretty much like every year before that for 3 or 4 different times. So That's kind of how we all got interested in Smoking Guns, is when I was in dispatch, I remember watching Dylan on the monitor fighting, and I was like, man, that is so cool. And that was before I'd ever started jiu-jitsu or MMA or any of that, and so I was watching that, and I'm like, man, I love the UFC fights. I love all the fights like that. And so it's just so funny that I ended up in the ring several years later. If you'd have told me that, I'd been like,
never gonna happen.
You're crazy.
Yeah. What's funny, the only person I know that's actually been into, I know two. The one we used to go watch quite a bit, a bunch of officers. We used to go watch them. We actually used to watch this guy at OSP, Oklahoma State Penitentiary. He was actually a convict out there.
Oh, gosh.
And when he got out, he was crazy, though. I mean, like, he was good at what he could do. I mean, like, and they had always said in the pen, like, hey, this guy could fight. And we're like, yeah, well, when we would go watch him, once he got out, he really could fight. He was pretty quick, but I don't think they would let them in the Smoking Guns.
I have heard where they're like, we should do, cops versus inmates and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, cops versus cons is what they'll say. And I'm like, cons? I don't know about that.
I don't know how the audience would.
They'd still probably cheer for the cons, let's be honest.
Well, there'd be a bunch there, too, yeah. But the other person I know is actually a female. She I think she had 3 bouts, MMA bouts. It's my friend's wife. And I always joke with them. I'm like, you didn't make your wife mad today, did you? So, yeah, so, but I love her. She's a good girl, good mama. She's, golly, 5 kiddos now, three of her own, two step kids. She's a great girl. But, we'll get back into that, though. Your coach, he's a monster, right? Like, he's a big dude, ain't he?
I mean,
is he the dark-headed guy?
He's got brown hair. He's like 6'12". I don't know. He's really he's 6'2" or 6'3", and I think he's sitting at like 110, something around that. So
110 or 210?
Or 210. 210. Sorry, 210. He'll be like, oh, how dare you? I always give him a hard time about his legs, though. I'm like, don't skip leg day. Because he's got these big old biceps and shoulders, and then it's just like little chicken legs. So we always give him a hard time.
He's going to eat you up on this, yeah. Yeah. And he was in your corner, right? This
yes. Year? Yep, he was in my corner this year and last year. And then I also have Gunnar Northcutt, who's a black belt. He's a trooper for Oklahoma Highway Patrol, and he is my jiu-jitsu coach, one of the main ones. He's also my main training partner for MMA and jiu-jitsu because we're both kind of the same size. Sorry, Gunnar. We're both about the same size, but he's a black belt, and he competes a lot and does a lot of training, and I mean, he's really good. So I attribute a lot of my skill and the things that I've been able to learn and develop from him beating me up so much. So
yeah, it is weird what you learn.
Yeah. He was in my corner this year and last year. And then this year I did have Chelsea Bennett. She does MMA, and she owns Grit and Grappling in Shawnee, which helped me get ready for this fight as well. Being up there with her, and Mitzi, the coach up there, they were really great to work with. It's just nice working with females,
right?
Because I don't have a whole lot of options as much as like females at my gym or female partners to spar with. with. So we were both getting ready for our fights about the same time. She fights for PFL, and so she just had a fight right after mine. And so we were actually able to do our fight camps together, which really helped me a ton.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Yeah, having someone else suffering with you.
Yeah, and her hands are so good, and she was wanting to work on, like, her ground game defense, which is what I'm strong at, and I was wanting to work on, like, my stand-up game, which is what she's great at. So it was really nice to be able to be each other's strengths of what we needed and help each other with those weaknesses. So I was super, super grateful for her, and I attribute a lot of my success to her and my coaches and my partners, and even Kingdom and Durant. I love them with Kale and Taylor Bryant. They are so awesome.
They have a gym down there?
Mm-hmm. It's called Kingdom instead of church. It's really cool. It's they just moved into it, and I'd gone down there and worked with some jiu-jitsu people down there, and as well as kickboxing. So they were also a big help in getting me ready for it.
Okay, so some striking down there and stuff too. Okay,
and we even went up to Killer Bees in Edmond every Sunday. So I was actually doing like 7 days a week and like 2 to 3 times a day. I was either doing like jiu-jitsu before noon, and then working out probably at like 3 p.m. at the gym, and then going to either the night classes for MMA at Grit and Grappling, or going up to my gym, the Arena, or going to Edmond on Sundays, every Sunday for sparring.
Every Sunday. Okay, well, you putting in the work. It paid off.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was really nice because there's a great group of females up there that are really good at what they do, and so it was, which they were doing kickboxing, we were doing MMA, but we all kind of meshed it together, and it worked out really well. So just super thankful for everyone that helped me get to where I was, because it was a lot of work, but I mean, I couldn't do anything without the people that I train with. So.
Right. That's cool. You were everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I was everywhere.
You were covering the state.
No one was safe. I was going everywhere, kicking everyone in the head.
Oh, Lord.
I felt so bad. I was like, I'm so sorry. They're like, I didn't think your leg could get up that high. And I'm like, yeah, it can.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
I've kicked Dylan in the jaw 2 different times.
Ugh, okay.
Yeah, and he was like, well, should have had my hands up.
Right. Lesson learned for the coach.
Yeah.
Well, we fast forwarded all the way to the
it's
reason.
Over. That's it.
We're done. That was it.
Thanks for having me.
Quick 5 minutes.
See you later.
But no, so I came to know you or know about you because of the Smoking Guns fight, which is a police officer and firefighter benefit fight, charity fights that come about. Well, let's see. How did the whole story start for you? Like, as far as like, where were you born and raised at?
So I'm from Texas.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to hear it. I was born and raised in Sherman, Texas, and actually raised in Pottsboro, Texas for quite some time. Grew up in a private school, Texoma Christian school, up until about middle school, and then we started going to public school, and I was like, what's wrong with these kids? So went to public school around middle school, and then I went to Sherman High for 1 year, actually 2 years, and I played soccer there. I played soccer ever since I was 3. So soccer was kind of what everyone thought I was just going to do forever. So done it since I was 3, played club soccer, club volleyball. Those were 2 of my main sports. I did like basketball and track, but it wasn't ever something that I was like, oh, this is it. So soccer was that for me. So I played indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, volleyball. My grandma was a volleyball coach, so I'd always been involved in sports. So that was super important to me. And so played 2 years at Sherman High, and then I did 1 year at McKinney High where I played volleyball and soccer. And then I actually got my GED because
really?
So I didn't want to do my senior year because I was just gonna be like there for a half day. I wasn't even, it was just like electives, and I was like, this isn't really, I've never been one where I can just like sit and be content with things. I always want to just like, okay, what's next? What else can I do? How fast can I advance through things? So within 2 weeks of deciding, hey, let's just get my GED. I don't really want to go back to high school and do a BS senior year. I did get my GED. I just do 2 weeks in the program for minimum. And my professor was Professor Happy. And he
Professor
just,
Happy?
yeah,
Okay.
and he was super happy too, which was really funny.
That was his actual name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he was super great, and I think he loved having me because, generally when you get your GED, it's because you're struggling in school or you've got other obligations. So I was just kind of like, what's the fast track through here? Get me in, get me out. And so he had a great time with me, and actually got to help kind of teach some other people in the class. So I enjoyed that. My grandparents were teachers. My mom was a teacher, so my grandma always said that she would hope I'd get into teaching, and I'm like, well, I teach people these hands, so teach them the 1-2s.
I'm educating that face.
Yeah, that's about as close to teaching as I get. But and so I went through and got my GED, and then I went to Southeastern. I didn't have an SAT or an ACT score, and I had to take the entrance exam at Southeastern, and they were like, well, she's probably gonna have to do some remedial classes. And so I took that, and they're like, oh, nope, we'll take her, she's fine, because I'd always been good at school. And so I actually majored in criminal justice there and minored in biology because I wanted to be a game warden.
A game warden?
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to be a game warden. I always enjoyed the outdoors, hunting, fishing, all that stuff. So I wanted to be a game warden. And then after I'd been there for about a year, everyone was going to East Central University, which Southeastern and ECU have a rivalry between the two. So they're rival colleges because we're right next door. So everyone started going to ECU, and I'm like, well, I want to go to ECU. And so I kind of toured the campus, and I played soccer at Southeastern. And then I was like, well, I wonder if I could just walk on and play at East Central. And so I went over to East Central, and I just transferred. I was like, well, I want to start here. And I was late, so I had to stay in the Pasagi dorms. And if you know, you know. So I had to stay in the Pasagi dorms because I was a little bit late coming over. And then I walked onto the soccer team and then got a scholarship after that. And so I loved playing soccer at ECU.
How did the walk-on, like, you just contacted the coach?
Yeah, so I asked the coach, I was like, hey, can I come try out with y'all and see if I could walk on? And he was like, yeah, well, they had already been there several weeks doing like all their preseason stuff. So school hadn't started yet, but that first week, he was like, yeah, we'll have practice at this time, you can come. And so I went and did the practice with them, and I think I went back to my room, and I was just like so dead. I felt really good about it, but I was like, oh my gosh, that was like just so stressful because you're kind of relieved that it's over. And you're like, I don't really know what's going to happen now. But they called me back in, and I was in the office with him and one of his team captains, and he was like, yeah, we'll welcome you to the team. They had a little stack of the shirts there, so I kind of knew how it was going to go. So they welcomed me onto the team and been a part of it ever since. Well, not anymore. I'm just an alumni, but I got to play three years there, so I really, really enjoyed that.
All right, so 3 years, okay. I've had a bunch of the guests have been college athletes, but most of them were only able to do like their freshman or sophomore year, and then other reasons had drugged them away from the sport. So that's cool. So when did you decide you were not going to be a game warden?
So when I switched over to East Central, I actually kind of wanted to go into Border Patrol because the border was really popular at that time. And so I'd kind of thought about that, but I was majoring in criminal justice, and so there was just, all sorts of people coming and talking to us, giving us options about things. And I actually did the collegiate officer program through ECU. So that's the equivalent to CLEAT for Oklahoma. It's the COP program. Yeah. And it's where you just spend the summer doing all the things that they do at CLEAT just with your COP group of people who are going through. So it was like 20, 30 of us. I think what they do it with Rose State. It's a kind of combined thing. So they all come down, and we're like one big group doing the advanced track to get CLEAT certified. You do it the last semester of your senior year, or the first semester, one of that for your senior year.
What year was that? Do you remember?
It was probably, so I think I started college in 2015. So I think in 16 to 17 is when I went to East Central, and then I graduated in 19. So it was probably 18 that I went through that COP program. And I met a lot of cool people that worked for a lot of different agencies, and one of them was like, hey, you should come check out our agency, which is where I work now. And so my senior year of college, I actually interned with my department, and I spent 6 weeks in dispatch, 6 weeks with patrol, where I was just kind of assigned with someone, and I I went through and I learned everything that they did, and it was a paid internship. And so I was working this 3P to 3A dispatch shift. Actually, well, my internship was 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And then after that ended, I interviewed for their dispatch position because there were no patrol positions open. And so I went right into dispatch after interning. And so I worked that 3P to 3A dispatch shift, 4 on 3 off, while I was still in college.
3P to 3A.
They were 12-hour shifts, 4 on 3 off. So I actually really liked it. That was probably one of my favorites.
That was probably pretty cooking shift, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was like trial by fire. Here you go.
Yeah.
So went and did that, and I was still going to school at the same time. So I remember some like really early days and really late nights and trying to get things done. So went and did that, and then I was in that for April, May to June, July, probably about 3 months before. I know I graduated in May, so it wasn't like I had to do it all that long. But then a patrol position opened up, and I slid right in, and it's a 4-month on-the-road process of field training. So you do like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, which I had no prior law enforcement experience at all. It was just, wow, this is great. Badge and a gun, here we go.
Yeah,
so,
right.
But I thankfully had that experience from dispatch, so that I was already kind of ahead of the game. Like I knew my alphabet, I knew how to run the tags,
Right.
I knew the radio traffic. So I'm out here like, man, I really know what I'm doing.
Were you driving around practicing calling out tags?
Well, my field training officer would always be like, all right, where are we? And we have such a wide jurisdiction that I didn't know the areas where we were, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was the learning curve, was learning all these areas that I'd never been. So I remember being down in Ardmore, and I was like, I know we've done this before. Like, I know the way, and I'd always get us kind of lost. But don't tell my FTO this,
Yeah.
but I had a watch, and I used to put the address of where we were going to go in my phone, and it would tell me on my watch, and I would be like, all right, I'm going to the right place.
Right,
So
right.
I would always try to...
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah, always outsmart the system. But I had a really, really great time at FTO, and I loved it. And then spent a little...
FTO for 4 months?
Yeah, so we have a 4-month FTO process.
Do you do you guys switch FTOs, or you keep the same
So
training officer?
You'll have one for your first phase, and then you'll have a different one for 2 and 3, and then generally you go back to the first one for the shadow phase. Now, sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't, depending on how many people we have to get through FTO and how many FTOs we have versus how many new hires. So I didn't end up going back to my first one. I stayed with the one that I was with for phase 3 and 4, and then just went out to my assignment, where I was for about 8 months before I actually went to the road for patrol. And then I was out on patrol for probably 5.5 years before I moved to where I am now, which I was supervisor or sergeant now for about 1.5 years. So got to do...
What are you doing now?
So I oversee the courthouse transportations with inmates to and from the jail to court, from the jail to doctor's appointments, from jail to jail. If the jail doesn't want to hold one of our inmates, we'll move them somewhere else. So we're kind of like the liaison between the courthouse and our detention services. So whatever they need done with an inmate, that's us.
Well, you guys are doing quite a few transports. Your agency's huge.
Yeah, so we do anywhere from like 5 to 15 transports a day.
Okay.
And that may be from courthouse or from the jail to the courthouse, or from, Pittsburgh County to Grady County. So you just don't know. It's such a vast area that we drive. But I have 15 guys underneath me, and I have another sergeant that I work with, and then we have a lieutenant and a captain, and we all work really well together. And that was the thing I liked most about my department when I first came over, is it really did feel like a family, and I've kind of been with the same group ever since. So, we kind of have like a lot of people who have been there for a while. It's kind of like where you're like, well, I'm never leaving.
Yeah. Well, and when you click with your people, like, it's not even like going to work sometimes. I mean, like, you're going to have to work, but it's really kind of like going to hang out with your people.
Oh, yeah, I get so excited. I'm like, well, I'm going over to this office today, or I'm going to go over here, and wherever you go, it's always like people cutting up, having fun, having a good time, joking with each other. So we have a lot of people, but we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So was it amazing to you or different for you to see the transition in your guys from when you guys are cutting up and having fun to 5 minutes later, you guys, it's not a fun situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to see everybody go to serious and let's get the job done.
Mm-hmm. It can be really funny because we'll be on, we actually had to deal with someone had pulled me and my friend over, not pulled us over, but they'd pulled over and asked us to come over to them, and they were needing help with their kid, I guess was being disrespectful or something, and they were like, he's saying that he's not scared of the police, or he doesn't respect y'all or whatever, so like, can you please talk to him? And so me and my friend, who were just joking with each other, immediately like, law enforcement, walk over to the car, and he's talking to him, and I'm kind of just behind him, because you don't really know unknown car, unknown people, so we're always just kind of ready to go. But he was talking to the kid, and when we walked away, I said, man, he didn't even throw up the knife hand, because I know how he can be. Like, I know how stern he can be and how serious he can be, and I'm like, wow, that was like really laid back of you. So it is really funny to see these different sides of people, because you don't, like, with just my normal friends, you don't ever see like their super on guard side, or they're super just like strict and to the point side. So it's definitely interesting, because we know like kind of like our whole personality, the worst and the best of the people you work with, because we're with each other so much. It's like you kind of see everything, and you kind of talk about everything. I mean, those end up being your like closest best friends, whether you like it or not. Because they know everything about you, and they relate to everything about you. So.
Yeah, well, and I really too, like, you're only another law enforcement person is truly going to understand what you're talking about too. Yeah. And it goes like that for the fire department and EMS and everything. But I think whatever field you're in, when you're hanging out with your people, like, they truly do understand you.
They always tell us, you need to have friends outside of law enforcement, but I'm like, they don't get me. Yeah, they don't understand.
It's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, I can't tell them these jokes. Like, they don't understand why I want to sit with my back, to the wall and watch the door. Like, it's just weird. So, luckily, my best friend, we did go through. We were partners at one time, so we're in both different positions now, where we don't patrol, but we still see each other all the time. So for the last 6-7 years, we've been through all of it together. So luckily, like, we just click, and she's kind of just like me, and we just get along super well. And I'm like, I'm so glad I have my best friend, and I'm gonna go find one that doesn't understand anything, because she gets it. And so all my closest friends probably work with me. It's not recommended, but sometimes that's how it goes.
So your best friend, she's female. Okay. And I'm not trying to turn it into male, female, whatever, but I'm so interested in the female aspect of the law enforcement. Like, how do you feel like you were perceived when you first got into law enforcement? How were you treated by other officers?
So I think I was really lucky going into my department, because there were already females there. Shandy Wiggerson was a huge help for me coming into the department. I actually shadowed with her when I first went on to patrol, and she had a ton of experience from the sheriff's office. So she was just, kind of like my saving grace, because I followed everything that she did and everything. She had all this information to give me and all this advice, and I was just like trying to soak it in. But I was trying to follow in her footsteps, which was kind of hard to do, but it was nice to already have those females before me that were kind of ready to be like, hey, this is what we do and how we do it. So I actually had her and another female with me on patrol. Melissa never came. Melissa's my best friend. She never came on to patrol with me. She kind of stayed at her assignment where she was. But I did have some females on patrol with me, so I felt like I wasn't outnumbered, really, and like I kind of had, people who understood. But all of my partners, I think, were really respectful of me and just encouraging. So I don't feel like it was like this huge stereotype or something really weird for, there's a female on our shift.
Right. Stay away.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's kind of like you have to dot your T's and cross your T's and dot your I's, because you want to never give anyone a reason to be like, well, she's a female, that's why she did that.
Almost like you're held to, I mean, not technically held to a different standard, but you hold yourself to a higher.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I don't ever want to give you a reason, and I'd rather let my actions speak louder than my words. So I never wanted to be like, well, I belong here. I can do this too. I just wanted to make sure that I was doing it out there, trying to be the best partner I could be, and just be the best officer I could be. So just going to trainings, backing up my partners, just trying to make sure that they knew I was there as much as anyone else.
I saw on Facebook the other day, there was somebody made a reel, and it was like what it's like being, what people think it's like being a female at a fire department, and it showed this male firefighter running around and grabbing this girl's gear and like putting it in the truck, opening doors, and like all this crazy stuff, and then it said what it's actually like, and it was throwing the gear away. I mean, just treating them just normal. That's how it was at the fire department I worked for when I retired. Like, I had a really good friend named Francesca, and she was a smaller girl. She's a lieutenant now there, but hell, I gave her more.
Yeah.
I mean, I gave it to her more than any of the guys, and she really rose through the ranks, and I mean, she ended up being a great firefighter. So.
Yeah, I get just as much crap from the guys as they give each other. So, no one's safe in the squad room,
right.
Male or female. No one is safe in the squad room. So, and it makes you feel better when they're giving you a hard time the same as they do everyone else, because I mean, you really just kind of are one of them.
Yeah.
And I think I just wanted my partners to feel as safe with me backing them up as anyone else.
100%.
I just always wanted to make sure that like you knew you were going to get the same from me as you were any other guy on the shift.
Yeah.
If not better.
Yeah. Right. So you just mentioned training though, like, so what kind of every law enforcement officer's got the same, or basically the same basic training, like, fundamentals you got to take. What have you taken like outside of the box from just your academy or the?
So, actually, the first kind of big training I feel like I went to was basic instructor development, which you have to be an instructor in anything. I went to Poto for that, and there ain't much in Poto. Sorry, Poto, but you ain't got nothing but a mountain. And a good coffee shop. There was a good coffee shop there. But we went to Poto, or I did, and I was kind of in this class for a week and presenting, just learning how to speak in front of people and build PowerPoints, all the basic stuff. So I did that, and I really enjoyed it. And I actually had to get that done before I went to, I went through Oklahoma Highway Patrol's Defensive Tactics Instructor School, which is, I feel like, more prestigious than kind of other defensive instructor schools, just because it's, I think it was like 260 hours, and it was, I think, 2 weeks on, 1 week off for like 6 weeks. And so it was me and literally 40 troopers, all guys. Yeah. And so this was very early on in my jiu-jitsu career, where I think I was I think I was probably just a white belt, if not just a blue belt. But went over and I did that, and that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. Right. Lots of fighting, lots of like learning, hands-on stuff, and I actually did the Gracie Survival Tactics Instructor course, so I did that while I was there with them. So graduated from their school as a state defensive tactics instructor with the Gracie Survival Tactics Instructor certification. So we started teaching that. We do our own in-house training for most things. So I started helping with our defensive tactics yearly training. I actually ended up helping write our whole curriculum, because Dylan was teaching it, and Dylan can have everything organized in his head, but not me. I like to have everything lined out. I like to know how I'm going to flow from one thing to the next. So I wrote everything out, and I'm like, this is what we're using from now on. He was like, okay.
So let's do that.
I told him, I was like, I want to put this on a piece of paper, and he was like, sounds good. Good luck.
Right.
Give me a copy. So I did that, and then we actually want to get to where we can have our own academies. And so to do that, I have to be a FLETC instructor. So I went to the FLETC Defensive Tactics Instructor School, which is federal certification. So I went to Texas for that, and that was only 2 weeks. That was a 2-week long course where mainly they work on teaching you how to teach is mainly their course. So I went through that. So I have both those certifications, which I think that was 100 and something hours for that course. So over 300 hours of just defensive tactics instructor training. So I went and did that. So I have both of those. And then I am a force science analyst, which I went to a course in Texas where we review use of force cases and learn how human behavior and how the body naturally can affect the outcomes of use of forces and how the mind works during situations, like quick thinking scenarios and things that answer why did they do this instead of this? It's like, well, our mind is wired this way. This is why that happens. So went out and did that, which was a really interesting course. I really enjoyed that. So
how long was it?
It was a week long.
Okay.
It was in the classroom, and we would basically review case law materials. We would review the videos of the case and kind of like the interviews and why they dove into this is what the officer said and this is why it didn't match what he did because of this. This is the length of the sleep cycle that they are supposed to have and how memory is processed and how long you wait to interview can change what the interview says. So just a lot of the little things that people don't expect. It's like, well, they shot this guy in the back and it was, well, that guy was turning and the officer was already raising his gun, and the way that the mind works, you can't there's like a second or two where your body's already doing something and your mind has to say, hey, stop. So it's like, well, looking at it from the outside perspective, why did he do this? And it's just answering that.
That's cool.
Super interesting course.
Yeah, for real. Like, so certifications, DT wise, 3 different ones: the Gracie, the
state and federal. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. How'd you like Flexi?
So we actually were housed at a facility in Texas. It wasn't actually Fletzy's facility, although I'd really like to go to Fletzy's facility for some training, but I enjoyed our Fletzy instructors a whole lot. I thought they were the coolest dudes.
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed learning from them. They had just a wealth of knowledge. So
were they the actual Fletzy guys that came down?
They were the actual Fletzy guys. They just used the building where we were at. That way you didn't have to go all the way to Fletzy because I just drove to Texas instead of having to hop on a plane.
I went to South Carolina for an instructor's class with Flexi, and it was pretty crazy because all I had to do was pay for my airfare. Everything else with them was paid. And when I landed, it was I didn't pick up on it in the plane. I should have, but my situational awareness, whatever. As we're walking out, you start looking. We're going to one bus stop, and I'm looking. I'm like, oh, these are all a bunch of law enforcement officers I'm with. And then we got on a bus, and we get there, and they took us to like a weapons check station, and so we're checking our stuff. Then it's a Coast Guard base is where we ended up at, but it was cool. Fed us everything, like top notch hotel. Like, it was a good time. I'd go back.
Yeah, we send a lot of our new hires to Fletzy, although I've never been to Fletzy. That's where most of them are sent because I already had that COP certification.
Are they going to New Mexico?
Yeah, they send them all the way over there.
Okay.
So, but I always say I'm really lucky I didn't have to go to Cleat or Fletzy because I did the COP program. So, they always give me crap about being a COP kid. Like, oh, that's a COP's kid right there. That's why she did that.
Baby Cleat?
Yeah, Baby Cleat.
I went to Baby Cleat too, so.
I would do it again over having to go somewhere and stay.
We actually, when we did everything at our campus except for the driving portion, then we went over to Ada and married up with ECU for our driving standards. But I enjoyed it. Like, I would definitely go that route again. So I think they've done quite a bit of changes to the Cleat Academy, like in the last couple of years. So.
I've been to some of the meetings for defensive tactics with other defensive tactics instructors, so they really are working to tighten up the program and get everyone kind of on the same page across teaching Cleat defensive tactics criteria. Yeah. So I went to a couple of those. So they do have a new guy over it, so they're working to revamp that, I think. But I'll actually be going back to ECU to teach defensive tactics as a helper to an instructor in June. So I'll get to go back and Tom Parr, he's the one that's over the COT program. He's always asking, when are you going to come back? When are you going to come back? So I'm like, all right, finally, here
I'm
you go.
on my way. Let's go.
I'm coming.
Yeah. That's, it's crazy how small the world is. Who is your BID instructor? Do you remember?
Oh, man. He's a shorter guy, and he was great. He's the one that does all of it, but I cannot remember his name. But I just loved him.
Wasn't James Holloway, was it?
No.
No? Okay.
No, it wasn't him. But, man, I sure loved he was just so fun. And we had such a great class. I really enjoyed my BID class. I know a lot of people think those classes are boring.
The instructor classes can get pretty dry, but if you have a good instructor.
We had a good group. I mean, we did have a game warden in there, and so we had to have a presentation, and it could be hands-on or it could be on a PowerPoint, and his was making fly fishing lures.
Okay.
And he had brought everything, and even after that, he was sitting next to me, and I was like, hey, can I make another lure? And I was just in there making lures left and right, so I had like a whole pile of them.
I'll take these home with me.
Yeah, but we had such a great time in that class, and I don't know what everyone went out to go and do instructor-wise, but I at least used mine.
Right. You might as well.
Yeah.
So you fish quite a bit, or?
I love to fish,
Okay.
and I have a little bass boat. Actually going to take it out next weekend, and hoping to catch some big fish. I always just catch and release. I don't like to have to cook them up. If I want some fish, I'll go get it from the restaurant where someone brings it to me.
Right, yeah. It's a lot easier to clean that way, right? You just send that plate back, too. I'm like, done with it.
I love the lake. I spend a lot of my time at the lake, and this summer I have 2 dogs, a German Shepherd and a Belgian Malinois. I know, I don't want to hear it.
Ooh, high energy dogs.
Yeah, high strung like me. So I got a 5-year-old Malinois, and then my German Shepherd turned 7 in November, so they're both a little bit older, but still lots of energy to them. So they like to go out to the lake as well and be on the boat. And Kiko, my Malinois, will jump off and try to swim out to a fish if he sees it jump in the water. Yeah. So we have a lot of fun with that. But they'll sit on a tube with me. We'll go tubing, and then
really towed behind the boat.
Yeah, they will sit on the tube with me. And then I like to wakeboard as well. My dad's really good at pulling me on a boat, so that's probably the only reason I can even wakeboard is my dad. But
yeah, how old were you when you started that?
Ooh, I didn't start till probably 2 years ago wakeboarding.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I seen a wakeboard at Academy and a rope, and it was on sale. And my grandma had given me $500 for my birthday, because my birthday's in June. And I was like, well, let's do it. And I bought it, and we went out there to the lake, and it took me, I think, 5 or 6 times, and I got up on the board and took right to it. Yeah. Cool. So I've always enjoyed sports and anything that had to. I'm used to being really good at kind of everything that I end up trying to do sport-wise. So that's why jiu-jitsu, when I first started, I was like, this is stupid. I hate this. So I actually did not fall in love with jiu-jitsu when I first started it. I remember my first day, it was in June of 2022 is when I first started doing jiu-jitsu. So
you've only been doing jiu-jitsu for 4 years?
Mm-hmm. Okay. June of 2022 is when I started.
It's about to be the 4-year anniversary then.
And so we were at the old building, and it was the only class before they moved to this new building. And so I remember someone was teaching me how to shrimp down the mat, and I'm like, this is so dumb. Yeah. Who does this?
What is shrimping? Yeah.
And Dylan had just convinced me. Dylan and I were actually partners on the road just for some time before he moved into a different position. So he finally convinced me to come in. He has this law enforcement class every Wednesday from 3 to 5 for the departments, free for law enforcement to go. And so I was like, fine, I will come to this stupid class. And I was actually a competitive CrossFitter before I did jiu-jitsu. Okay. So I did CrossFit once I graduated college. I just wanted to be a part of a team. I missed being part of a team from soccer, so I went to Tushka Fit and met some really cool people there and became a CrossFitter. I know.
Did you tell everybody?
No, but I think like when people would see my traps, they were like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I do CrossFit." And so we competed in CrossFit for probably 2-3 years. I did a 2-man team, and we just had a lot of fun with that. And then I kind of retired from that when I went into jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu and CrossFit, well, I was like too big and bulky from CrossFit to do jiu-jitsu. So I had dropped from like 151 to probably like 138 for my weight. And I started, because I wanted to be in a smaller weight class because I'm 5'2", 5'3" maybe, with boots on. So wanted to drop down my weight so I could be a little bit quicker at jiu-jitsu. And so, started learning how to shrimp, and I would go once a week, and then I would go twice a week, and then I bought a gi, and I started doing gi, and it went from 3 times a week to 4 times a week to 5 times a week, and now I'm there 6 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes twice a day. So I think that's why I kind of, I haven't been doing it all that long, but I have a lot of hours in.
Right.
So when I find something I really like, I kind of take it and I run with it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I'm just all about it. So I really took to jiu-jitsu. It took me 6 months to figure out what the heck was going on before I started being like, oh, I see it.
Started clicking for
I see it. I can read. And so did that and got my blue belt. And then I think I was a blue belt I was only a blue belt for like a year. I competed a ton, and did my smoking guns as a blue belt. A 4-stripe blue belt was my first smoking guns fight.
First smoking guns. Mm-hmm. Well, what? Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But so you got 2 smoking guns under mm-hmm. your. How many competitions besides those do you have under your belt?
I did a lot of AGF as a white belt. I actually won my first white belt tournament. I think I got 3rd in no-gi because that was like the first thing I'd ever done as a competition-wise, and I didn't really know what all was going on. So I got 1st in gi after that, and then I did a challenger. I guess I was just going to do everything. I was going to just dive headfirst into this competition that I had never been to before. So I was like, let's just do it all. And then I won my challenger division.
So you entered into 3 on the first go-round?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember if I did the no-gi challenger or not, but I did win the gi challenger, and so I had all these medals after my first division, and I guess that kind of ruined me because then I was like, I want to win everything now. Like, I cannot lose, just like myself. Like, I would not let myself lose. And so I did a couple other white belt tournaments that I don't really remember. I don't remember much at white belt. I know I had a great time, but I did a couple more of those, and I had a lot of success with it. And then I did new breed and Naga. I think I have 2 new breed belts, and then a belt from Naga, winning those challenger divisions. As a blue belt, I actually ended up beating a purple belt for my last belt the second to last belt that I'd won. So
all within 4 years.
Yeah. And I did a Naga tournament probably like 6 or 8 months ago that I got a belt from and a gold medal. And then, I don't know, I just like to go and do stuff. And I just don't, I hate losing more than I like winning. Uh-huh. And so I just kind of have like this thing where I'm like, well, wheel me off the mat because I'll die out there. Like, I do not want to lose. I'll die before I lose. But, I mean, I have lost, I think I've lost in like 2 or 3 matches, just total, maybe 4. So I mean, I do lose. I don't win everything.
So when you take a loss, what do you take from that loss? Like, do you analyze like, shit, I lost because of this move right here, or because I didn't capitalize on this opportunity, or like, what do you do?
Yeah, so I know one time, one of the losses that I did was my own fault. I'd done a double leg, and I went right into a triangle, so a lot of what I've worked was like, once something gets me, I'm like, all right, I'm never going to get got by this again.
Never again, yeah.
And so we just worked on triangle defenses, and then I've tapped 2. I think I got heel hooked very early on I was a fresh purple belt, and someone had gotten a heel hook. I think it was a heel hook, but I just wasn't even going to play the game. I was like, you can have it. Yeah. I want to walk. I tapped to that, and then I remember my first ever thing I was submitted by was a guillotine in the no-gi match. I remember that. There's actually a picture that I have in my phone of me just like tucked in this girl's arm, with her legs around me. So haven't got by one of those since.
Yeah. So it's safe to say you're learning.
I did. Yeah. I do learn a ton of things from losing, which, I mean, generally they earn it. If I lose, it's because they did something really right. And so I always learn something from losing because I'm like, well, I put myself in this position and that's what happened. So I am always thankful for, the times that I can learn. So I try to look at everything as learning and not losing, but I don't like to lose.
Yeah, well, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah,
that's a good driving force to have. So we said it earlier, but like the way I actually became familiar with you was because of the Smoke and Guns fights, and I remember last year's fight, and then this year's fight. But do you remember last year when you guys went to touch hands, and you kind of got like she bailed off on you?
It was the same hand.
Okay,
Same hand.
When that happened last year, I was like, oh hell, I was like, that was, I don't want to say it was dirty, but I was like, ooh, that was pretty quick right off the bat.
Fired up. No.
Yeah.
So last year's Smoke and Guns, let's see. I'm trying to remember trying to get ready for it. My coach was getting ready for it at the same time. So I had my coach, Nick Gagliardi, me, Michael Anderson, Curtis Andrews was getting ready for it. So and Kyler Tripp, there was like 5 or 6 of us. So we were half the card the year before. And so...
and that's all out of the same gym?
Yeah, we were all out of the same gym. Nick ended up not getting to fight, so I think the rest of us fought. And so we were all getting ready together, which was a lot of fun. I actually ended up getting bronchitis. I remember I had bronchitis in April. Was it? No, it was either February or March when I ended up getting bronchitis. And I remember I had an asthma attack in the middle of one of our sparring nights. And I just walked off the mat. I went and got my inhaler. I was like, don't freak out. And I sat over there for a minute and then went right back to it. I was like, nothing's going to stop me. I might as well just, fall over dead before I'm going to stop.
Bring me that inhaler
And I actually ended up getting it again this year, exactly a year to the day. I had been to the ER. From last year to this year. It was exactly a year. And I hadn't even known it till I was already at the ER for the same thing. So we treated it earlier this year than last year. So I was okay, but I was a bit worried about that. So, and then I had a shoulder injury and I had an ankle injury. I just had all sorts of little nagging things that were bothering me. But last year we all got to get ready together. So I didn't really know much about this girl, except that she was a Tulsa firefighter, and we agreed to fight at bantamweight, which is 135. We were about the same height, so she was a white belt. I think she was like a 4-stripe white belt or something like that at the time. I don't think she'd ever done much MMA or striking, but I really hadn't either. I'd only done it since, I'd done jiu-jitsu more heavily than MMA, which I'd done a little bit of boxing and a little bit of MMA here and there when we had the class, but it wasn't that was my main focus. I just did that because I like to punch my friends in the face.
Right.
So that's why we did that. And Dylan was like, hey, you should do the Smoke and Guns. And I'm like, I don't know about that. But I was like, okay, I was like, let's do it. And that year before, I didn't get to do it. So this was us getting to fight last year. So we were supposed to fight that year before.
So how far out... So you're going to do Smoke and Guns, how far out are you starting to train for it?
So Daniel Twist starts trying to put fights together, I think, in December. And, Smoke and Guns is in April. So I think it was a little bit after Christmas that he called me. He was like, hey, this is what I got. Are you in? And I remember that phone call, and I was, super nervous. And I was like... okay, yeah, I'm in.
If I say yes, I'm in now. Yeah.
It wasn't put me down. It was okay, let's do it, I guess. I don't really know what I'm doing, but let's go ahead. And told him. So, agreed with that. And then I already trained, kind of heavily, in the gym and then at jiu-jitsu. So I'm always there. It's just kind of changing the focus of what you're doing. So we shifted it more toward MMA, and then everything was toward that for about 4 months till you get to the fight.
So in that first year, were you traveling like you did this year to the other gyms?
No. So I only stayed at our gym. I hadn't been to any other gyms. And I think we were just such a close group because we had Chris Vereen come in, and he was doing a lot of our MMA stuff. So we kind of had everything in-house. So we all just really did it together. And so there really wasn't a reason to go anywhere else. And I had Chelsea then. Chelsea Bennett then, she was helping me too. It just wasn't, she would just, was so busy with her gym and stuff, I didn't have her as much, but she was definitely there for me then.
Yeah.
But I just didn't have, I felt like this year I was much more like, I took charge of it. I was like, this is what I want to focus on. This is what I want to do. Just because I knew myself a little bit more in regards to like MMA. I knew kind of what I needed to work on, what I wanted to work on, and I took it by kind of like by the horns. I was really determined to do everything that I could. I at the end of the fight, I didn't want to say, man, I wish I would have done more, or I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that.
Yeah, this year's fight, when.
Hold on. I want to go back to the sucker punch.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'm not over this.
Okay.
So I did not know in the ring. I did not know that I was sucker punched. So
you didn't?
No, I didn't know it at the time. So when you go out there, I was the sixth fight. Everyone touches hands. It's just you watch UFC. What do? They touch hands. Everyone touches hands. You back away.
Back up.
And then you start. It's respect. Well, here I am, just here you go. And she came out, she did touch my hand, I'll give her that, and then just the same hand straight. And it
quick old jab coming out.
Yeah,
there.
It hit me in the temple, and I don't know if you've ever been hit in the temple before, but it'll kind of like, your equilibrium kind of gets thrown off. And so that turned my head, and then I took a second hit to kind of like where my jaw is, and I don't remember getting hit. I really don't remember touching gloves, to be honest, probably because we only did it for like 0.1 second before I go punch the
It was
face,
quick.
but
It was quick.
yeah, so I don't even, I remember going in, sticking my hand up, and then the next thing I remember is I was turning back into her. So for that like second or two, I do not remember, like it just didn't register, I guess, like that temple hit kind of just like shut me off for a second. It was like everything went quiet, and then when I turned, everything was loud again. And so I remember just grabbing her, and then we went to the fence, and we had just drilled that. I had a body lock to an outside leg trip to the ground, and we had just drilled that the week before, and I was with Kyler Truitt, who, I don't know if you know, Kyler's taller than me, Kyler's bigger than me, and Dylan, and I was just drilling it with them, and I'm like, this doesn't freaking work, because, they're so much bigger than me, they're just trying to get me to do it, and I said, I don't like this, it doesn't work. And then lo and behold, they go and do it. And then, I threw that kind of flying arm bar. And why I did that, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you. It wasn't like, I'm going to do an arm bar. Like, I didn't think that at all. I didn't have any plan going in there or anything. And so I just remember her arm was up, and I like arm bars. And so I took the arm, and I fell back with it. And then she kind of made us belly over. And it was done after that, and it was 30 seconds. It was the quickest 30 seconds of my life, too. I don't remember nothing. I remember they put that belt on me, and Daniel was like, hey, you're going to have to hold this up. Because I'm so little.
Yeah.
Fighting it. I actually weighed in at 133 last year to fight at 135, so I was pretty little. But after that, I bulked up to 157, and that was in December, and then I cut to 149. Cut the actual weight to 149 before the fight, and then I dropped my water weight to ended up being 144 at the weigh-in. Mm-hmm. Because he offered this fight to me originally for this year at 155, and I was like, I said no. I actually declined this fight that I took this year. Originally, I said, Daniel, I don't fight at 155. And he was like, yeah, she's 5'7", 155, and I'm like, have you seen me?
Yeah.
I said, I'm 5'2". I fought at 135 last year. And so I actually said no. And 2 weeks later, Dylan, I guess, tells Daniel yes. He's like, we'll do 145. And I'm like,
I got some friends like that. Yeah, they're like, hey, yeah, he's cool with it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so he was like, we'll do 145. And I was like, okay. So it took them like a week or two to agree to it. So they ended up agreeing to it, and we fought at 145. So I'm actually dropping my weight down after this. I don't like being this heavy. It's been kind of fun, but I really like to sit around like a 138, 140, because most jiu-jitsu tournaments, it goes up to 141. So I prefer to sit at the top of the weight class if I can.
I got you.
But I did want to bulk up.
I don't have you because I haven't been 138 since I was like 8th grade, I think, probably. But, dropping... How do you drop your water weight? You just don't drink, or like?
So I pushed water for the first couple days. I mean, it was like just chugging. I had 2 water bottles, and I was so angry having to drink all this water because you had to pee all the time. And so I would chug the water, and then I would throw the bottle across the room, and I'm like, that's one done. And it was just like drinking water left and right. And then as you get closer, you cut your carbs in half. Because I normally eat like 140, 150 grams of carbs a day. And so I cut those in half to like 60 or 70 on a Wednesday. And then that Thursday, and I halved that. And then I think I was like less than 10 carbs after that because we waited on Friday. So you cut your water. The reason you drink all the water is so that your body starts processing the water. And then you cut the water where you don't drink as much at all. Like you just kind of drink to quench your thirst, and your body still produces the water. So you kind of just pee all of it out. But the water weight from the carbs drops as well when you half it, and you have no idea how much like carbs makes you hold water and bloat till you do that. And I was like, man, I feel so lean and I'm miserable, but I'm lean. So everyone was having to deal with me saying, I just want to eat this, and I just want to eat that.
Where's my spaghetti?
And asking how many carbs is in this, and how much protein's in that. And I remember I was so hungry Thursday night before the weigh-ins on Friday. I was eating an ultra-thin slice of Swiss cheese.
What time is the weigh-ins on Friday?
It was 11 a.m. on Friday. And so we left Ada, I think it was around like 8:30. And got up there, and Nick had it worse than I did. Nick was he was in rough shape. He was like, they need to hurry this up. So I think Michael was fine. Michael wasn't bothered really by any of it, but Nick cut a ton of weight because he had to drop even more, I think, for this guy. I think they fought Nick was 203 or 204, and that guy was high 180s, low 190s. They just agreed to kind of like get as close as they could, I think, because it was, they were just trying to make sure that they had a fight.
Right. He still looked like a monster out there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Nick was struggling. I remember we got, they give you some IVs after the fight, or not after the fight, after weigh-ins, and we were all in there getting them, and they busted this vein. And he was like, man, are you, like, super dehydrated? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm super dehydrated. Like, I was still drinking water. And then they put it on the outside of this arm, and that actually ended up busting. So I had 2 busted veins going into the fight Saturday, which really didn't bother me. But I had this huge bruise on my arm for 2 weeks afterwards. Right. And everyone was like, man, is that from the fight? And I was like, well, I actually didn't take any hits in this last fight.
You want a cool story?
Yeah.
Or the truth?
Yeah. So the fight before, I think I took those 2 hits that I remember, and then I took a knee, which, I mean, I think knees look a lot worse than they actually are. Knees don't bother me a whole lot, but I do remember taking the knee, and so I think I pretty much got hit just the 2 punches in the knee for the last fight. I mean, it was only 30 seconds, so it's not like there was a whole lot of volume in there.
Did you... This last fight, was there anything that pissed you off for this last fight?
Yeah, so, you always kind of wonder what they're like whenever you get someone to fight. So last year I had an idea of what she was like because, I kind of heard from, like, the firefighters really didn't end up, I guess, liking her that did our IVs last year. They were like, man, I hope you kick her ass. And I was just like, what? She's one of y'all. Yeah. And so I don't know what their issue was with that, but I kind of learned a little bit about her from that. But this girl I had no idea about anything. And so, she'd walked out. We had the same walkout song, but mine was by Marilyn Manson, and hers was the original version of Sweet Dreams. And so I actually thought that they were playing my song for her or it was still playing when she walked out. I was like, did they screw that up? Does she not have a song? Like, are they still playing my song? Well, I was like, whatever. And so she walks out, and, she's doing the most, like putting on a show, which I know with Smoking Guns, they like for us to do that. They like for us to put on the show, but
this show stuck out to me. When I saw it on at the arena, I was like, oh, okay.
She went, and at the end, right before she went in, she goes like this to the crowd.
Yep,
and
knife to the throat.
They booed her, and I was like, You know, one thing, like, when I walk out, I'm very serious about it because I never want to come out cocky or, like, I'm going to win this, because you never know. It really can be anyone's day in the ring. Like, one hit, all you need is one hit, one well-placed hit. That's it. That's all you need. And it can always end up being someone else's day. And so I never want to walk out there and be like, yeah, I got this in the bag. Like, not once have I ever thought that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do my absolute best, and I hope that I can reap what I sow is always my hope. And so when I walk out, I'll celebrate afterwards, for sure, because you already did it. But beforehand, I never want to be like that. I'm never just going to be like, psh. So I just don't, that's just not me. I know that's some people, but that's not me at all. So when I walk out, I'm very serious. Like, I'm in the zone ready to go. And
for the
so,
walkout.
Yeah, for the walkout. And then I remember we were in there, and then I was just like, I was so much more present this time around in the ring than I was last year, which I attribute that to the experience of being in the ring. And so I knew that I had that on her this year. I at least had that, even if it was only for 30 seconds, I still had experience. You still know the process of everything that happens in the back.
Out to that arena.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that walkout when
it's awesome.
You've got all your brothers and sisters there, whether it's red or blue or whatever. Like, ultimately, we're all there to cheer on another fellow first responder.
Yeah. And, you're doing it for the kids, and the kids are right there watching. They've got, those front row seats. And last year, they actually brought them into our locker room and was like, hey, this is who you're fighting for. And one of the kids had pointed to me. I was getting my hands taped, and he goes, her, she's the one. She's the best one. And I was like,
I'm taking you home with me.
I'm doing this for you, buddy. And, I went out there and won, and I always remembered that boy that said, it's her. She's the one. She's the best one. And I'm like, just makes you just so thankful for my ability to I always say walk, run, and chase my dreams, because what a blessing it is to wake up and have something to chase and have the ability to chase it without limitations.
Yeah, we forget how lucky we are that we can get up and do whatever we want whenever we want.
Yeah, so I've tried to be really intentional and really present with the things that I do, because it's so easy to just take things for granted and just forget that this is a privilege, not something that I'll always get to do. And someday it's going to be the last day you get to do a walk to the ring or put on your gloves, and you never know when that day will be.
Right.
So I've always tried to, and I always think about the people that don't get to do it and want to do it because of limitations that maybe mentally or physically that they've had with in their lives. So I always just want to think, like, I do it for the people that wish they could do it and can't, or maybe lost their life hoping to live the life that I get to live. Yeah. So I always just try to keep that in the back of my mind, that people are wishing for the day that I'm having.
Yeah.
And so I need to live it intentionally and make sure that it's building others up or inspiring others is always just something that I want to do. Like, it's super important for I think little girls to see representation, in the ring and in law enforcement in general. I always want little girls to know that even if they don't want to do law enforcement, that they can do hard things and that they can, regardless of your size, chase your dreams. I'm not a big person. I'm 5'3", about 145 pounds. So especially being in law enforcement, that can be intimidating. And so that's why I did all of this training that I've done. And it has given me the confidence to, be a better officer and be more sure of myself. And so I just want, all these little girls that see me to know, hey, I can do hard things. Hey, I can do that too, regardless of my size. And so I think it's just super important to just try to inspire that next generation and make sure that, they know they can accomplish anything they put their hearts to. My mom always said, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. And so I think I've always just taken that to heart, because, like, I truly do believe that, and I got that dog in me. So.
Yeah. It's like that little honey badger out there.
Yeah, they always say it's like a little chihuahua, but it's in there, so.
Well, so she comes out, she's kind of fancy. Kind of fancy.
Animated, I'd say.
Animated, does the knife across the throat sign.
Gets booed.
Gets in the ring. Did you see her do the sign?
I did.
Did that piss you off?
I think I looked over at my coach. I looked over at Dylan and Gunner, and Dylan's just like, kick her ass. And I'm like, but last year, actually, so behind the scenes, behind the curtain before we get called out, you're both kind of standing over there together. And so, like, the police go out first, so the firefighter, she was behind me. Wait, they have
you guys standing
side
by side in the back?
We're not really side by side, but we're all kind of in the same area in the back. You're in the staging area ready to go because they want you out there. And so I remember I was out there with Gunner and Dylan, and I remember someone from her crowd was behind me. I could hear it, and it was like, kick her ass, Alyssa. And I remember hearing that, and I'm like, that just made me mad.
Yeah.
And if you ask anyone that, like, I roll with or that I fight with or anything, it was like, do not make Kaelee mad. Like, do not make her mad, because it's just a whole different, it's a flip of a switch. It's a whole different ball game. And so, like, you think I hit hard before, like, I'm hit hard now. And then I start head hunting. I was like, I will hunt your head with my foot. And so I remember hearing that. And there's actually, like, a picture that I had seen posted where you can see me and my coaches, and I'm, like, facing forward. It's from behind me. And then she's behind me all, like, thumbs up, looking to the crowd. And I'm like, like, I think it was all, like, this isn't fun and games for me. Like, it's not fun and games. Like, to go into a fight, it's not fun and games for me. And so for that to be for other people, that's fine. But I remember there's like a really cool photo of Gunner. They're putting that Vaseline on my face, and Gunner's right here. And he was like, wipe that smile off her face. And that was the last thing that was said to me before I went into the ring. And so I guess I wiped the smile off her face. But it was just like those things that happen before the ring, I think, like, are kind of like foreshadowing for what happens in the ring. It's like, how serious do you take this?
So what went down this year in the ring?
So she, last year I knew that she was going to have more of a jiu-jitsu background instead of a striking background. But, you never know how the fights are going to go, especially debut fights. You don't know. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what she was going to do. Like, who knew what was going to happen? But this year, I knew, like, the process of it and kind of how I wanted to start. And I knew that she'd actually been doing jiu-jitsu and MMA longer than me, I believe. So she was a 4-stripe blue belt, is what I was told. And she's from Texas, so we don't know anything about her gym or anything about her or anything like that. So she was a 4-stripe blue belt, has some type of MMA background type. So I was like, okay, I expect, more skill, more competition. I expect it to be harder. So that's why I worked so hard on my stand-up game this year. I was, I very much wanted my hands to match my jiu-jitsu. Like, I wanted my stand-up to be just as good as my jiu-jitsu. So I worked a lot on that, and I was fully expecting to just, like, stand up and trade. And so I went into it as a purple belt. And so we were in the ring, and they actually introduced her, and she got booed again. Which was last year, everyone cheered for the firefighter, which is not anything new. And we were losing. Everyone had lost before me. Every single police officer had lost before me. So I was going in number 6 of like 12 or 13, and I'm like, well, it's now or never, like, this is on me. And so I was like, what do I want, for the person after me and for all of us? And so I was like, guess it's on me. And so I was mad when I walked out there, because I was like, everyone had lost. Like, I watched my teammates lose, and so I was just ready to go. But this year, actually, before we'd walked out, Michael was right before me. Nick was before me, too. So Nick had won, and then Michael was right before me because I was fight 11 of 13. And so Michael, we're back there watching the screen, and I'm like, okay, Michael's going to give me 2 or 3 rounds to watch, like, because you're trying to get in your mindset, but not get in the mindset too soon. You don't want to get hyped up too soon. There's a lot of, like, mental work that you have to do backstage to not get yourself hyped up and have that adrenaline dump. So I was watching Michael, and then Michael guillotines the guy right off the bat.
I thought, was that 14 seconds? I don't even know how.
I don't know, but
how he even got in that position. I was like, what just happened? It was so quick.
Yeah, I remember watching that, and I was like,
yeah. I think everybody in the audience was like,
I was like, we gotta go. And so I was like, guess it's me. And so I was like, Michael, you going to give me a whole round or something to just sit back there?
No.
And so Nope, I'm getting up there, and then there's a staging guy, and he's like, all right, he like tells you when to go and when not to go. And so I never really know what I'm going to do when I go out on the stage. I know that I don't really want to do a whole lot, but when I walked out this time, I could tell that people were cheering for me. And compared to last year when they cheered for her, I remember when I dropped with her arm last year onto my back, I could hear the crowd change, where it starts cheering for me instead of her. Like, I don't know how to describe that crowd change, but you can hear it when the crowd cheers for her or for you, like, Yeah. And so this year, they cheered for me, which was a nice change. They actually booed her in the ring after they introduced her, and she's waving. And so,
Was you the returning champion?
They wanted me to walk out with my belt, but I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't like that cocky confidence, so I didn't want to walk out with my belt because I have that respect for my opponents that I'm like, well, you never know. And so I always try to go into things with like, you never know. So I didn't walk out with my belts or anything this year, even though I really thought about it. So we were in the ring, and they're introducing us and everything, and then they get to where you're like, are you ready? And then like fight. And I was not going to touch hands this year. I knew I wasn't going to touch hands this year. I was like, I'm not touching nobody's hand ever.
No sucker punch this time.
It was a joke at the gym where I wouldn't fist bump people, or I wouldn't touch a hand on purpose, or I would, and they'd be like, don't touch a hand. And so it was just kind of like this joke with it. But yeah, I never knew that I got sucker punched until after, when people were like, I can't believe she sucker punched you. And I'm like, what?
What did it happen for real?
What happened? I remember walking backstage, I was like, man, I can kind of feel that.
Yeah.
And so, going back and watching the videos, I see the sucker punch, and I'm like, dang, she really did sucker punch me.
Oops.
But, I mean, I do blame myself. Keep your hands up at all times and always defend yourself. So I take the blame for that one. That one's on me. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. So I definitely was not going to. She didn't even offer her hand this year, so I wasn't going to offer mine. But we came out, and I was fully ready to stand and fight. Stand and bang. I was ready to stand and trade, stand up, fight. I wanted to throw my hands. And she actually starts backing away from me. And we thought she was going to come out as a southpaw, I think is what we were originally told. So everything that I trained was kind of like southpaw oriented, which I don't know if she was switches stance or not. We didn't fight that long to find out. But I started going to her, and she just starts backing away. And I'm like, where are you going? And so like I kind of like threw my front kick as like a test kick. I really didn't throw it that hard. And then that hits her, and then I threw a second back kick, and then she just ran and hugged me. And so, she just pushed me back into the fence, and I mean, she was really holding me against this fence. I mean, this is the fence, right? This is the fence with me in it. I mean, I was like, I was so present in this fight this time that I was like, man, I hope that this wall does not fall, and I fall backwards, because that's how like far she was pushing me into this, which I had her head in this guillotine position, but I knew I didn't have the guillotine, but I had the head control, which I preferred. And so she's just like pushing me into this fence. She's not really doing, I think she tried to throw some knees. I don't really think they hit. I tried to throw some knees. I don't know how much they hit because of how like low she was. And I remember hearing Dylan, he was like, hey, if you don't like her head there, you can push it down, which is a normal defense. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. Because, I want to go to the ground. I don't care if you take me down. I don't care if I take you down. We'll go to the ground either way, and I'll be happy. And because I was just calling myself the ground queen. Like, all I wanted to do was roll around on the ground. Even though I was fully prepared to stand up and fight, I was like,
if you want to go to my land, let's go to my land.
Yeah. We would eventually go down to the ground if I didn't like standing up. But I was fully prepared to stand up. But we went down to the ground, and I'm like, why would you take me down? Like, very genuinely, like, I know she's a 4-stripe blue belt, so maybe she was just really confident, or maybe she just kind of panicked with what was happening in the ring, but I was just like, why would you take me down? I did not understand that. And I was like, why would you not want to stand and trade? You're 5'7", you have this length on me. You should want to stand and try to keep that distance, do your distance management, which is typically what a taller fighter does to a shorter fighter. Of course, like, I need to get in and take you down, and you're going to keep me at this distance. And so that just wasn't what happened at all. And so she was holding me against this cage, and I had her guillotine. I think I tried to pull my top up because she was pulling it down. Like, that's how much she was pushing into me. She was like kind of pulling my top down. I said, man, I hope my top doesn't come down in front of all these people.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't think I could free my other hand to lift my top up because I have like kind of this guillotine control. And then we ended up going to the ground. Whether she took me to the ground or we kind of fell to the ground, I don't know. But she went into... I ended up getting a full guard on her with the head control still with the guillotine, which I'm pretty good at guillotines. I like guillotines as a takedown defense, so I'm pretty proficient at them, I would say. But she kind of had a longer chin, so she had it tucked pretty good, and I knew I didn't have the guillotine. And so I was just trying to think of, like, how do I want to play this? Because normally you can do a sweep to that guillotine side if you get a butterfly hook in, which I was trying to work with my right foot to get a butterfly hook in, but the cage was right there. And so the only direction I could sweep was toward the cage, and there was no room. And so I was like, well, I'll just get full guard. And I know as soon as her head pops out, she's going to try to hit me. And so, you know, she rears up, and then she tries to hit once, and I kind of like went this way, and it went right by me, and then she tried to hit me again, and I went this way, and it went by me. And I was trying to grab the arms for an arm bar because that's probably going to be my go-to if someone's punching me and they're in my guard. And so a defense to the arm bar is tucking the arm. And when you tuck the arm, you're at risk for a Kimura. And so that's actually what I ended up grabbing was this Kimura. And to defend the Kimura, they usually tuck it. And so I used that as kind of like a lever to throw her over. And I just rolled on top. And
it's so crazy for me to listen to you explaining what's going through your mind. Like, and I was thinking this and then this and I'm like, it's just great. Training.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's like not even having to think about it, but now you explaining it, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, so that was my whole mindset. It's like, I know I don't have this guillotine. She's probably gonna try to hit me when her head pops out, and so yeah, I grabbed that Kimura, and then she was just kind of, she was such high pressure into me, which you can use against people, and so I just kind of rolled us over, and it rolled me right on top to like this S mount with my arm in her, which a defense to the arm bars to lock the arms or lock the hands, right? So that I can't break that arm out and extend it. And so I had my arm through, and I was holding it. I was in kind of like this S mount on her side, and as she turned, she kind of like turned away, and I just threw my leg over, threw my other leg over, and she's still defending that. And so I just did the hammer fist, which I did have some issues in training with remembering to hit during like jiu-jitsu positions. Josh Nail, one of our MMA coaches, always says, don't get jiu-jitsu-y. Quit getting jiu-jitsu-y. He's like, hit from there, hit from there. And I'm like, but I don't like the position I'm in. He's like, just hit. And so I worked really hard on hitting from, like, just remembering to strike from all these different positions, because you can forget when you're so jiu-jitsu focused, because we don't throw hands in jiu-jitsu. I mean, I guess unless you get mad, but we're so focused on those positions and submissions that, you know, you kind of forget you can hit. And I remembered I just did some hammer. I seen her face, and I'm like, I can hit her.
Yeah.
And so
I remember when he started dropping, I was like, oh, I think everybody in the crowd was like, oh, like
I hit her square in her face, and I talked to her later, and she ended up telling me, she's like, when you hit me in the face, my mind went blank. And I'm like, I know that feeling. So you know, she was trying to tuck her head underneath my thighs to get away from the kicks. You can see her kind of bucking her hips, which whenever someone defends the arm bar, which way you break it depends on which way their grip is. So I think she was, I don't know, something like this. And it wasn't going to make sense for me to like try to break the grip this way. So I knew I needed to break the grip to the outside. So because I had that arm, I remember grabbing it with my wrist, and I had to swing out like toward her head and go back, because they're always weaker when it's away. But I didn't want to, I wasn't super happy with my top position. Like, I wasn't super tight because she kept trying to creep underneath my legs, and so I knew I couldn't just go for the arm bar straight out of getting to the position. I knew I had to soften her up with some strikes, and then go for the arm. Because generally, like, after the hitting, that's what opens up stuff, which is exactly what my coach said, but I guess they're right.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
And I went back with the arm, and we actually, so we have 2-minute rounds. It's 3 2-minute rounds for smoking guns, which generally a lot of amateur MMA bouts are 3 minutes, but for this event, they do 2 minutes, probably because some of these old boys, you know, can't do no 3 minutes. So
yeah,
but it was 2 minutes.
That would be me. I'm not a 3-minute.
3 minutes is a long time.
You're not even gonna see me in the ring, so I'll be real honest about that. But
if you've never been in the ring or in a fight or anything like high intensity like that, 2 minutes is a long time. 3 minutes is a long time. You see these UFC fights where they do 5-minute rounds. I'm like, I have no idea how you're doing that.
Right.
Because I know how hard 2 minutes could be. I know how hard 3 minutes could be. You know, jiu-jitsu rounds are 5 minutes. Like, I know how hard these fights could be. And so just striking is just like a whole different cardio. Like, MMA cardio is totally different from jiu-jitsu cardio. And so, like, it takes out a lot of you to just throw the strikes and throw the kicks and stuff. But I knew I didn't want to go to a second round. And I remember Dylan saying like 15 seconds or something like that. And I had her in this good position. And I was like, I do not want to go to another round. So I was like, on her face, I was like, I don't want to go to round 2. And went back with the arm. And I think it was like 149. So I had 11 seconds left. But I was just held so long on the cage. And then I held her so long in that guillotine position that we just kind of wasted a lot of time. So I got that submission at 149, and I remember I had her arm back, she tapped, and I let go, and I went like this, and I looked up at the sky, and I'm like, thank goodness. And then I got up, you know, and you start celebrating, which, you know, I did my little armbar thing, because that's what I like to do. That's what I won last year with, that's what I won this year with. That's probably what I've won half my tournaments with. I don't know why. That's just my thing. I don't know. It makes sense to me. And so Dylan calls me the arm collector, which my nickname this year was Full Send. My fight name was, because everything that I end up doing is kind of just like full send with it. And so I don't really know how to do things at 50%. Like my physical fitness coach, he had sprints at 70% listed on the workout, and he wasn't there that day, and someone else was working out with me, and they're like, all right, you ready for the sprints? I'm like, yeah. They said, all right, 3, 2, 1, go, and I'm just taking off as fast as I can. It was like, I don't know how to not do anything not full send. So it's always just the joke that, you know, I'm just full send, and so he called me the arm collector too, and I thought that was really funny. But got that submission, you know, celebration, and going through, and I remember I looked up at the cameraman, and I pointed to him. And then I said,
Yep. When you did that, I was like, she did not miss the walkout from that other.
And so I was really hoping that, you know, we haven't got to see any of the videos of the fights yet. They haven't released them.
I was looking for them, and I couldn't find them.
They said that they're waiting on that company to send it to them, but it was supposed to have been Wednesday of last week or this week. I think it was last week. It was supposed to have been sent out, and it hasn't yet, so... still waiting on them to be sent out, but I was just hoping that the people that were watching it live understood, because you miss a lot watching it live.
I don't think anybody in the arena mistook anything about what had happened.
Because I heard the crowd cheer when I did that, and I'm like, okay, the crowd got it, because I would never just go up and do that on my own. Yeah. But I was like, you know, you did that, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm such a smart mouth that, like, I will 100% dish it out. Yeah. Dish it back.
That's probably the police officer in you right there. I told several people we were talking about you coming on, and they were like, oh, wait, is that the fighter? I was like, yeah. And I said she gave the knife at the end for payback, and they were like, oh. So, like, there's a lot of people excited, like, that you were coming on to talk. Like, that was great. I can't wait for him to drop the video.
I know, but the only videos I've gotten to see were, like, my friend who was videoing, like, you know, like that. And so I'm trying to watch the video like this.
Like, I'm getting sick.
And then my uncle had videoed it at home and had sent it. So luckily that's the only video I've gotten to see. But even then, like, it wasn't that great of a video. So I'm really wanting to see. And I want to rewatch all the fights. It's different. We have these TVs in our locker room. So we have the police on one side, firefighters on the other down the hall, and we have 2 TVs in there in the corners. And they're really not like that big, but they're big enough. And our TV didn't have sound, so we had sound on the other TV, but not this one. So you watch everyone out there, but you miss a lot because you're having to warm up. You don't see the fight generally the second before you, and you don't really see the fight after you if you don't hurry up.
Did you see the guy that broke his leg?
Oh my gosh. So that was David Foster. Shout out to David Foster. Hope you're doing good from the hospital. He watched us from the ambulance.
That's crazy.
He almost, so when they sent out in our group message, we had a Smoking Guns group message with the team captain, and then we had, the firefighters had their own one, and so it was all of us from the police one in it, and we almost thought David was going to be the main event because the way that the list came out, he's the first one, so it was swapped, and so the whole time I was saying, David Foster for main event. He was like, I'm not main event material. And little does he know he became the main event that day.
When that happened, I was like, oh my God. But it's like you said earlier, you're not going into the ring to goof around.
Yeah. That's what happens when you go, 100% and you maybe aren't doing that all the time at 100%, like a lot of those guys that go in there, this is probably one of their first fights, or they don't have like this extensive background in jiu-jitsu and MMA, and so your body moves differently when it knows what's coming. Like I'm great at falling because I've been taken down so much, so like falling doesn't bother my body, knows what to do when I fall. But you take someone who doesn't know what they're doing, and maybe someone else who doesn't know what they're doing, they're all going full send,
right?
You can end up with things like that. And so he messaged us that he was watching from the ambulance. But yeah, I remember watching the screen. Everyone was lined up watching the screen, and he was winning. He was doing really good, and we're stoked, like here it comes. And then all of a sudden it was like, what happened? And they're like, oh, he broke his leg. I don't like injuries in sports or anything like that. Like, I do not like to watch people get hurt.
Yeah.
And so I remember that happened, and I just looked away. I was like, I'm not watching the replay because
I can watch it from the stands. Yeah. It was like, oh no.
I can hear everyone go, oh my gosh, and I'm like, I'm not looking. And they actually brought him back there to get his stuff. He was on the gurney, and we're all back there mortified that just happened. Like, that is how we started this off. And I was like, I don't even want to go out there now.
Yeah.
I was like, I do not want to go out there, was how I was feeling. So
I didn't sign up for this part right here.
Man, that was awful. But shout out to David Foster for leading us off. But he's okay. He had surgery. It was broken. He had surgery, and I think he's on the mend, and he wants to be back next year. So I've luckily never. I think I've broken my nose. Extra. Yeah. I've broken my nose. Actually, my first jiu-jitsu tournament in that challenger division, the girl, she was like 6 foot. She was 205, and that was my first, it was a gi challenger division, and she'd taken me down, and I think she ended up headbutting me on my nose on accident, and luckily it didn't bleed, but I'm pretty sure that broke my nose. So my nose goes to the left a little bit. I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't know if you can see it. It goes to the left a little bit. Plastic surgeons hit me up.
That's hilarious.
Need a plastic surgeon sponsor. But my nose does go to the left. I've broken it 3 times.
Good
once
Lord.
Once was actually not even fighting related. The second time was fighting related, and then the third time. So I used to have sheep,
headbutted
sheep.
you?
And this thing was trying to die. It had summer pneumonia, and I needed to give it a shot. And we cornered it in this corner, and it just tried to jump over me, and it ended up jumping through me, busted my nose with its head, and I still caught it and gave it this shot, blood running down my face in the middle of one. Oh, it was so cold.
Yeah. Livestock is real fun to have until you're having it. Yeah.
I sold all them, so I don't have any livestock anymore. But that was the 3rd time I broke my nose.
Oh.
So it goes to the left now. It's okay.
It's all good.
I need someone to break it to the right.
Don't. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
If we could get it to the right a little bit more, that'd be great. But no, I've luckily only ever, I had a shoulder injury, which I'm going to say is my coach's fault, Dylan. But he says it's my fault because I didn't tap, but I don't like to tap. it was a Kimura behind my back. He was really slow with it, but it didn't hurt. He just let it go, and then afterwards it had hurt. And I'm like, this is really weird. So for 8 months, I had this just horrible pain in my shoulder that we just ended up physical therapy made it better. Nothing was ever tore that they could see, but it was hurting to put my duty belt on.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of stuff like that. So I dealt with that for a while. I missed a few tournaments for that. That was my own fault. Don't tell Dylan I said that. Because I just like to blame him. But
well, what with you mentioned your duty belt. Has your agency been like pretty supportive of you fighting in the smoking gun?
yeah, they love, I think, sending us out there and having us represent them. And they've actually wanted to get a little bit more stricter on who they let go out there, you know, because, of course, everyone's like, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. So right. I think that they're proud to see that, you know, we're out there representing and then also, you know, contributing to the charities. And I guess just since Dylan and I are both defensive tactics instructors, I think it's important as a defensive tactics instructor to not just talk the talk, but walk the walk. Yeah. And so I never want anyone to think like when I teach them that I'm just teaching you something that someone taught me. This is things that I've learned and done in either tournaments or fights or things like that. Like this is tried and true, tested methods and things that I teach. And so I just want people to, I feel like it's just being like a fake, you know, if you're teaching defensive tactics and you're not out there actually doing it and walking that walk, then I kind of just like, I lose that respect, you know? And so I think it's important for you to go out and test yourself and push yourself, because how can you expect that of the people that you're teaching if you don't do it?
I don't know. Hell, it made me want to put an application in. I mean, like, I don't think there's any better recruitment thing than having that you up there with your agency and just whipping ass. You know what I mean? So like whoever's up there, whatever agency it is winning, I mean, like I would be, sending it everywhere.
Yeah. And so, you know, Dylan owns the gym and he works for my department, and our department actually pays for our membership at the gym as long as you go 4 times a month or at least 4 hours a month. There's actually 2 other gyms you can go to as well, but they will pay your membership.
Really?
And you know, our law enforcement class is actually on Thursdays now from 3 to 5 at the arena, Ada, Oklahoma. Any law enforcement or first responder can come in and train with us. And so I help teach that, and we just do like arrest tactics and
okay.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Technical difficulties. Okay, so what do you guys like to see your officers that are coming over there for the officer training? Like, what should they bring?
So really the best thing for jiu-jitsu is a dry fit shirt or a tight fitting t-shirt. That way it doesn't get caught on anyone's arms or legs or anything. And then shorts without pockets, preferably. That way feet and toes and stuff don't get caught in there. But really you come and you show up and we run you through the warm-up, and we can teach everything from like, you know, the basics to a little bit more advanced stuff, just depending on wherever their skill level is. And we always live roll at the end for about 30 minutes of every class. So.
For about 30 minutes. That might kill me. But yeah. How many, so how, your gym, how many people do you have that come there, do you think? Like ages from age range wise too? Like,
so they do have kids classes. They have kids Muay Thai, kids MMA, kids Jiu Jitsu, gi, no gi. There's a lot of kids. I think we're outnumbered by the kids. I think the kids could take over.
Right.
Actually, if they could organize themselves enough, I think they could take over. Okay. There's so many of them. I've taught the kids classes before, and I had like one on my leg, one on my back trying to choke me out. And then I'm like trying to make sure that these two that are actually going aren't choking each other out. And so it's just like really fun chaos that it's always a really good time going and doing the kids classes. And then we have the adult gi and no gi and MMA. We have night classes, noon classes, which, you know, shout out noon class, we're the best. Sorry, night classes. I do like to go to the night classes though. We have nighttime MMA that is like around 7 on Tuesday, Thursdays. So we have all sorts of classes throughout the day, but total members, I don't know. I mean, it's got to be at least, I feel like over 60, 80 maybe. I don't know. We have a lot, and there's a lot that go at night that I don't see because I go at noon. So there's just a lot of kids, man. The kids outnumber us. And then Jennifer Dolezal, Dylan's wife, has the Conquer kickboxing side. So shout out Jennifer. She actually holds mitts for me and helped me get ready for smoking guns. So I love hitting mitts with Jennifer. She's got great energy. She's so much fun. And I actually did one of her cardio kickboxing classes just to help work on cardio, and I was sweating more than anyone else, I think. So, but I was also like moving on my bag, level changing, and so I'm pretty sure that the people in there who didn't know me were like, "What's wrong with this girl?"
Yeah,
but I was
they were probably like, "We don't want to get into it with this girl."
Yeah, and I was like, just doing the kicks on the bag, and she's like, or teeps, and she was like, "Kick the bag over," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Jennifer's crazy." So I love Jennifer so much. She's always the loudest cheer for us, and she's like our mom for us if we need anything. So she has a ton of members on the Conquer kickboxing side that go and do that. So all in all, I don't know, there could be 100+ members at the gym. But we have a pretty consistent group that goes at noon. So, I feel like everyone's got nicknames. I nickname everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't remember anyone's names, but they get a nickname.
That's exactly why I doled out nicknames. I'll remember this if I call you.
Yeah.
That. So is the gym open 5 days a week, 6 days a week?
So we have open mats on Saturday from 12 to 2. Everyone's welcome. All affiliations and no affiliations, I guess. So we do jiu-jitsu and sparring on Saturdays from 12 to 2. Generally, people will do whatever you want to do. If someone wants to box, someone wants to do MMA, someone wants to roll, or you just work on basic technique, or just come and watch.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're really doing and you want to come over and watch. Saturdays 12 to 2 every Saturday. But Monday through Friday is regular classes.
Okay.
Mondays.
Where do they find the information for it?
Facebook, the Arena Combat Academy. Or you can message Dylan Dolezal. Dolezal. But yep, the Arena Combat Academy in Ada, Oklahoma.
That's cool. I mean, you guys have produced some darn good fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I think just we're such a high drive gym and we're such a high intensity gym. It's, every time we're rolling in there, everyone's just going really hard. And
do you think that do you think law enforcement, when they go in there, not necessarily for the law enforcement class, but like yourself and Dylan and the other one, do you think they take the jiu-jitsu like more serious at all? Like just because it could be, I mean, that really could pay off in saving your life in the street, so I don't know. What do you feel like?
So a lot of times I'll say, these are things that I've done. I'll tell a story about this is what happened to me on the street and this is what I used and how it worked, and then we'll teach that. But also we'll rewatch videos from officers of situations, and we're saying, hey, this is what they did, this is what could be improved, this is what they did good, this is what they did bad, and breaking that down and then showing this is how jiu-jitsu could have mitigated the situation and made it go smoother. That way that they're seeing real world applications of it instead of just saying, okay, this is mount, this is the arm across, gift wrap position, things like that. It's like, hey, this is the position that they were in and this is what they could have done. And so I do think it helps out with just them buying in to it. I think there's a lot of skepticism with like, oh, jiu-jitsu doesn't work. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work.
Right.
But I mean, I've gotten in quite a few fights with, just new people on the mats that have no idea about jiu-jitsu and it worked. Like a lot of the new guys that had come in, I'd roll with them and then, submitting them or taking their back and they're like, oh my gosh, this works.
Yeah. There's a guy over at your agency, really good guy. And I used to roll, and I'm going to use that term very loosely, at the gym up here with a bunch of highway patrolmen. And it was kind of when that highway patrol was bringing jiu-jitsu in, and they were rolling and stuff. But this guy that I know with you guys, he's pretty muscled up dude, pretty strong. And there was a highway patrolman that was older, like my age now, but the younger guy was trying to out-muscle him, and it was so funny because he was like, he just picked, at the time he worked for a different agency, but he picked him up and just threw him off politely, and he's like, don't try to get strong with me. And I was like, oh, we're all in there looking at each other like, what the hell? Like, it was right then that I knew that guy was pretty legit, pretty bad, because I went in there, I was like, oh hell, I've been in street fights, no, this is not a winning situation for you. So,
My favorite things to yell, all strength, no technique, whenever, like, one of the bigger guys does something, and, you know, maybe my submission didn't work, or, you know, they've just picked me up, and they're carrying me around, and I'm like, all strength, no technique.
Yeah.
It makes them so mad, but...
I mean, I can picture, after watching your last fight there at Smoking Guns, I was like, I'm pretty sure she can break your arm right off.
I have actually popped 2 arms in tournaments. Actually, the first Smoking Guns fight I did, her arm popped 2 or 3 times. And then there's a tournament where I armbarred a girl, and I always hold the arm bars. I always allow for time to tap. Like, my goal is never to hurt anybody. I hate hurting people, actually.
Right.
And so I actually yelled at a girl's. I didn't yell at the coach, but I was upset in a jiu-jitsu tournament. I said, "Why did she not tap?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I told her to tap." And so I was just so upset that I'd hurt this girl and I'd hurt
I'm
her
about
arm.
to do this to you.
Yeah, and I always give that time to tap. Like, I know when I have it, and I will hold it because I don't have to, like, I have it so well that I don't need to force it. And so I allow that time, and then I'll go a little bit further, and I go pop, pop, pop. And I hate that because it just makes you want to throw up.
Yeah, the arm collector.
There's been 2 or 3 times where arms have popped, and I'm like, why do you not tap?
Yeah, why did you do this?
I'm not letting it go.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the opportunity. Like, I'm putting this on you. If I hurt your arm, it's your fault.
You did it to
I've
yourself.
never hurt someone's arm being in my fault.
Right.
So I hate hurting people, but I mean, I give you the opportunity. If you don't tap, that's on you.
That's on you, yeah. Okay, so I asked this question to everybody when they come. Like, what would you tell? How old are you now?
I will be 29 June 3rd.
No, you're still a baby. Okay, so what would you tell yourself 10 years ago, 19?
Oh, man. So I actually started at my department at 21. I remember I was the youngest officer at the time, the youngest one in there, and, you know, you see all these people around, and a lot of times I wish that I would have started what I do now sooner. I probably would have told myself, hey, get into combat sports. Like, you can do it, believe in yourself, and chase your dreams. Don't let anything stop you. Like, let nothing limit you, especially yourself. Like, do not be what limits yourself. Like, if other factors are going to limit me or stop me, that's fine, but I never want it to be fear or maybe self-doubt. And so I think I would just tell myself, hey, be confident and just go out and do it. Just chase your dreams and do it.
That's cool.
And just believe in yourself and believe you can do it, because it's so easy to let fear win and say, hey, I can't do it. It's such a hard battle to trust yourself and find confidence in yourself and to stick with yourself through things. Like, even when you don't win, you know, but to just sit there and have your back and to trust yourself enough to go step into a ring or to step onto a mat and compete, you know. So it's been a long journey of me trusting myself and finding that confidence in myself that I wish I had 10 years ago. But I would just tell myself, like, you know, get into combat sports and be sure of yourself. Even if you don't compete, go be sure of yourself and have that confidence, because, you know, at the end of the day, no one's coming to save you.
Right.
It's always you.
It's you. It's up to you.
And I always say it's me versus me. It's never me versus anybody. Like, yeah, I have opponents that I go out and I fight with at Smoking Guns or in jiu-jitsu tournaments, but it's always me versus me. And it's always me versus me in the gym practicing too. It's like, I want to be better today than I was yesterday, even if it's 1%, you know, and it's just always holding myself accountable mentally of how I'm thinking and what I'm thinking and how I can improve myself, because, you know, physically, sure, I can do it all, but mentally, if it's not there, you won't be able to do it. Yeah. And so I think mental resilience is probably more important than physical resilience, because your body won't go anywhere your mind hasn't gone. And so to just make sure that I'm mentally training myself as much as I am physically, I think is super important.
That sounds good. Sounds good to me. Sounds great. I think you're a good example for the young ones to follow. I mean, you've done a hell of a job. I've enjoyed watching you fight. I hope they post that video pretty quick.
I know.
But I appreciate you answering that text message or that message and then driving over and spending your time here. And maybe I will come over there and get thrown around. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Just let me know. And noon classes is the place to be. Mondays from 12 to 1 we do MMA, and you can come over and just watch that. But Tuesdays is no-gi at noon that I go to, and then Wednesdays we do leg locking at 12. So if you don't like your ankles or your knees, come on over.
Come to that class.
We can help you out with them.
Okay.
And then Thursdays we do gi, which I hate gi. I'm really good at gi, but I do not enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do not want to wear sweaty pajamas where my coach chokes me out with my own belt. I don't like that. And so we do gi at noon on Thursdays, but our law enforcement class is 3 to 5 on Thursday, and that's a fun time because you have lots of experience in there, lots of different perspectives from different defensive tactics instructors that we do have. We have several, so we have a really good opportunity for people to come in and learn and drill whatever they want to learn. We do a lot of rest techniques and just things that we see on videos from officers in the streets. So we actively try to review what our officers are doing and try to steer our curriculum and technique to shaping that into just better techniques that are safer for them and for whoever the suspect is or victims in general. So we are actively as a department working toward just like shaping our officers better, and we're always looking for what we can do to improve. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, like I said, I ain't gonna tap you. I don't want to catch one to the face, but I do appreciate you coming down for sure. Thank you very much.
I had a great time, and I like to talk, and I like to just kind of give that. A lot of people don't get to see this side of me; they only get to see the side from the octagon or from the mat, and so. I always just say I'm just a really nice person who likes to cut up and have a good time, but when the time comes, it's a different ball game, and so gotta flip the switch.
Yep, I agree. So. Well, that was good. I like that ending. Yeah. Flip the switch. But is there anything else you want to talk about, or?
I don't think so. I feel like I talked about everything.
Okay.
But
that was good.
This is how we have to end it. Just.